A year of massive protests against police brutality and high-profile shootings of Black Americans has raised awareness around racial justice. That includes the call to do something, anything, about Confederate monuments, which is growing stronger across the country. Part of the recent government spending bill took out language to remove monuments from national parks. But cities, states, and counties have decided they're not going to wait on the feds. Joining us now to talk about this topic is Richmond City Councilman Michael Jones and history professor William Sturkey with the University of North Carolina. What's the rationale for Richmond to get rid of these monuments that have been up for decades in some cases?
Decades, close to 100 years. That's a little bit more than a decade, right? A few decades. It is what it is. They are symbols of racism. They are symbols and trinkets of white supremacy that have no place in a public setting. I believe when the individuals who laid out a plan for Monument Avenue and did even the real estate ventures along Monument Avenue, they were trying to send a message to the South, to African Americans. They were trying to make a statement that the South is still alive. The Confederacy, although it may have lost, it's still vibrant in the hearts of so many Southerners, that it is their heritage. It is a heritage of hate. It is a heritage of enslaved lives. And so we just thought it came to the point in time where they must come down. And that's what I fought for. That's what I've been advocating for since 2017.
Professor Sturkey, let me ask you a historical question here. I often hear from folks, sometimes even within the African-American community, who go, what's the big deal here? This doesn't change anything in the context of George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or any substantive sort of policy change that benefits African-Americans. Why is it important then for these symbols to be taken down?
Look, the reason it's so important for these symbols to come down are conversations like the ones that we're having across this country about what the history of race in this country has been, about what symbols like the Confederate monuments mean, about, how these racial disparities were created in the first place. I think everybody wants to move on from this American cancer of racism that we've had in this country since its existence, since its founding. But, there are some people that just say, oh, you know what, let's just turn the page and forget about it. And then there are other people that want to have more of an honest reckoning, asking harder questions about how we got to this place. Because it's only in understanding how we got here that we can then understand how to build a better society. And these symbols that stare people in the face, that sit outside of courthouses, in places all across the South, they are preventing us from having these conversations. They were meant to, cover up certain truths about the history of slavery and about the history of the Confederacy. And I think they really retard our efforts to have a more honest reckoning about the history of race in America.